bored.
It's freezing and all.
I don't know why we're here. Some holiday.
I thought holidays were supposed to be for children.
Yeah, and where we wanted to go.
Yes, we were actually.
Yes, we were actually. We were.
So what?
Well, you just asked if we were asked, and I just pointed out that we were.
That's not the point.
Exactly. Well, what is the point then?
The point is that even though we were asked where we wanted to go, our point of view wasn't taken into consideration. Anyway, when were we asked?
Just after Christmas.
I remember.
Well, what did you say?
I said that I wanted to go to Euro Disney.
I said Spain.
I can't remember.
You said proper holiday. You'd rather have a month so you can go to Glastonbury or Donington Park.
Well, what did you say?
I think I said I fancied a winter skiing holiday instead.
Well, there you go then. Euro Disney, Spain, Glastonbury, skiing, and where do we end up? Staying with Auntie Minnie at the back of beyond.
Cold stream. And it's not just the stream that's cold. Look at the weather. Cold as summer. It's freezing.
It could be worse. It could be raining.
Oh, why do you always have to be so cheerful?
Well, it's better than moaning all the time.
Well, I like moaning all the time.
There's nothing to do here. Exactly. How can people live in the country? There's no decent shops. All my mates will come back from holiday with cool clothes, the CDs. They'll be eating pizzas and burgers all the time. Then I'll come home weighing 10 tons after being stuffed full of Auntie Minnie's home cooking.
Go on, dear. Come on, Nick. I made them specially. Oh, and another thing. The country smells.
And that's what he says. The good healthy smell of country air.
Straight out of an animal's bottom.
We've got to admit, there are some lovely animals around. Not just all the sheep. The wild animals.
Far too many. But the drivers round here got the right idea. Mow them down. The roads are like slaughterhouses.
Make my day, buddy.
Hasta la vista, rabbit.
Do you remember that film, Monster Down, that was on the telly last Christmas? Well, Dad told me about this book that we've got a sign in his window that said, "You've read the book, you've seen the film, now eat the cat."
And so do I.
You?
Just someone who sits at the stands for his museum.
And that's the neighbourhood watch. We also have friends here. Close.
You're quite wrong. I'm not from around here. I'm merely a visitor. Where are you from? London. Well, don't you miss it? All the shops and lights and everything?
Oh no.
There's so much to see and do in the countryside.
Like what?
Exercise your mind, your eyes, and your bodies.
That sounds stupid. You sound just like our gym teacher.
Or some stupid guy. Your mind, your eyes, and your bodies. And what's wrong with that?
It's just so old-fashioned. It's not real. This is the real world. Our world. Not some fancy make-believe.
I'm glad you can be different.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, of course the world is real. It is both good and bad, pretty and ugly. But it is possible to imagine a life beyond the obviously superficial. Like winning a lottery! I often imagine that. Much more simple than that. In a way, much more real. And certainly much more possible.
I don't understand.
I don't care.
Well, let me demonstrate. Look over there.
Yeah?
This season's lambs. Now, the reality is they're caught for the market, born to just watch anything.
That's horrible.
Do you eat?
Yeah.
Look what you're thinking about where it comes from.
The supermarket.
You see, you're doing already.
What?
Mixing fantasy with reality. Well, what do you think of the sea lambs put in?
Well, the prettiest, I suppose.
Funny.
Shit.
Exactly. But you know when they've been born, so you're ignoring the reality and imagine them having happy long lives playing on the hillside. It's easier, pleasing.
So what? Where's this getting us?
Well, have you ever heard of Beatrix Potter? Mrs. Pigwinkle, Peter Rabbit, Jemima Puddleduck?
Of course we had. We were getting the stories when we were younger.
We used to have plates and mugs and things. We still have.
Shut up. Well, did you know she stayed somewhere?
No.
Where? The Dial House.
Is that where she wrote all those little books?
No, she didn't start writing the books until later, but she was picking up the stories. She was noticing things all around her and started writing letters to children and friends, in which the first ideas of the story started taking shape.
Where's this getting us?
Well, you said you're bored of the countryside.
Yes.
And I say there's lots to do if you just use your imagination.
Yes.
I have an idea, and it's all to do with Beatrix Potter.
Hooray!
She was 28 years old, still living with her parents. She had a strange sort of life. Did you know she could get married until she was 47, and even then her parents disapproved?
They sound like our parents.
Anyway, she was an excellent painter, especially in plants and things. She was better than expert in plants. If she had been a man, she would have been quite important. Anyway, the family went on big holidays every year to the countryside, Scotland, Devon, and the Lake District. And as I was suggesting what you should do, is she used her eyes. She noticed things all around her, and all these things stimulated her imagination, helped her to see beyond the commonplace, and then later appeared in her stories. Go on. Well, she wrote a secret diary. Part of it was she knew why she was here. Why don't you have a read of some of it? See if you recognise anything she writes of, and think how she used her imagination to create these famous stories.
Sounds like a good idea.
Sounds knack to me.
Well, there's nothing better to do. Not until all the kids' programs and news rubbish is finished on the telly. And that's hours from now.
Okay, we'll try anything once. Where's she gone?
Don't know. She's standing just there. I think you're a read. But look, she's left her book. Lots of words, no pictures. Are we seen comfortably?
No.
The Echo will begin. Leno, Cold Street, July 17, 1894.
That's over 100 years ago.
Well, Potter. Left train spots 10 in the morning. Got in around 7. Well, the railways haven't changed much then. They still take forever.
But there aren't any railways around here. Well, there must have been once. I wish there still were. We could go to Edinburgh for the day, or Newcastle.
Hey, listen to this. The house is large and rambling, and not too over-clean according to the servants. But sanitation good and standing high.
Standing good and sanitation high.
A perfectly awful garden, full of broken bottles, rats, and piebald rabbits, but much honeysuckle, briar, and Lancaster roses among the weeds, and a splendid view over the valleys of the Cheviot Hills.
Absolutely splendid.
My father grows intolerably.
I know how he felt.
Intolerably about the untidiness for several days. If I can form an independence opinion, I am disposed to like the place, and it is delicious fresh air.
She was easily pleased.
She sounds like Aunt Minnie. Delicious fresh air.
Look here, further down. She talks about the garden, more rabbits at the escaped. Wow! And listen, July 30th, discovered the most massive park wall, built in primeval times by a benevolent person who left a neat slip hole every 12 yards for rabbits.
So,
Well, Peter Rabbit could have used that wall around Mr. McGregor's garden. I'm not with you. Don't you remember the story of Peter Rabbit? Not really.
nah, he's too much of a Power Rangers.
Well, listen then, and I'll remind you, if I can remember it. The Tale of Peter Rabbit.
Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the roof of
A very big farm street.
One morning, Mrs. Rabbit picked up her basket and umbrella and said,
My dears, I'm going down to the baker's to buy a loaf of brown bread and some brown buns, so don't get into any mischief. We go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was putting a pipe with Mrs. McGregor.
and off she went through the wood. And Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail
You were very good, Michael.
went down the lane to get blackberries. But Peter
Who was very naughty.
ran straight away to
Mr. McGregor's garden.
And
Feeling uncomfortably because of all that food, Peter went in search of some medicinal parsley.
Around the end of a who should he meet but
Mr. McGregor!
Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, calling out,
Stop, thief!
Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden.
Where's the gate? Where's the gate?
We lost one of his shoes amongst the cabbages.
Oh, his shoe!
His other shoe amongst the potatoes.
After losing his shoes, Peter ran even faster and faster and might have put away altogether
Your induction torch went into a gooseberry net.
and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket.
Oh, my blue jacket and brass buttons!
Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears. But his tears were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew in with great excitement.
come on, Peter, exert yourself. Hurry up, Peter, he's coming.
Hurry up! Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter.
Now I got you!
Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind.
Oh, my jacket!
Then Peter rushed into a tool shed and jumped into the water can.
It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if there had not been so much water in it.
Splash!
McGregor was in hot pursuit. He was quite sure Peter was somewhere in the tool shed.
Perhaps hidden underneath the flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each.
Presently, Peter sneezed. And Mr. McGregor was after him.
Got you!
Tried to put his foot upon Peter.
Who jumped out the window.
Upsetting three plants!
The window was too small for Mr. McGregor.
And he was tired of running after Peter.
Back to work!
Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After a while, he began to wander about, going lipsy-lipsy, not very fast, and looking all around.
At last he came to a door in the wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath.
An old mouse was running in and out of the stone doorstep, carrying the keys to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way,
Where's the gate?
but she had such a large P in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he only became more and more puzzled.
Presently he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his watering can.
A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as though it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without her. He had heard all about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny.
Then Peter headed back towards the tool shed.
But suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Screech, scratch, scratch, screech.
He scuttered under the bushes.
But presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeked over.
The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter,
And beyond him was the gate.
Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow.
and started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some blackcurrant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care.
He slipped underneath the gate.
And was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the birds. never looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit lane and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he'd done with all his clothes.
That's the second little cat compared to his easiest in a fortnight.
I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening.
Oh, not well.
His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea. And she gave a dose of it to Peter.
1 tablespoon of
And it served Peter right. Everything stayed right.
What's it?
Upset and what to tell who, as we all know, where.
Very good, bunnies.
He's had some bread, milk, and blackberries for supper. Is that it?
Not much of an ending, is it? Chamomile tea. Why couldn't Mr. McGregor catch Peter and have him for tea?
And the other rabbits. Many made it into a film. Peter's friend, Rana starring as Peter Rabbit. Emma Thompson as Mrs. Rabbit. Fry Laurie as the two sparrows.
The Blue Peter presenters as Flopsy, Mopsy, Comedy.
Julian Clary as
Mr. McGregor, played by Ramsey Nesbitt, was about to skin Peter when out of the shed bursts Super Bunny, a 10-foot mutant ninja rabbit who races everybody. There's a whole garden into a multi-screen cinema, bowling alley, and shopping complex.
Right next door to Auntie Minnie's a lovely wee cottage.
It's just not a children's story.
Exactly. So what's it got to do with us?
Well, I don't know. That woman in the bush reminded me of it. It's only about 5 years since I was around with Peter Rabbit. He was my favourite. In 5 short years, moved from Peter Rabbit to Michael Morgan, the spottiest wimp in the school. Oh, shut up! You'd better taste me with Peter Rabbit. Well, at least I have got a boyfriend, unlike some sad people I could mention.
That's enough, you two. Confession time, right? I used to have a Jemima Puddle Duck toy. And when you squeezed it, it went quack.
You're quackers.
That's awful.
I remember that toy. What happened to it?
I've no idea.
It's under your bed in that suitcase with all your love letters from David Struthers and that other idiot used to Gregory.
How do you know?
And his picture, take that. I'm joking, I'm only joking, but the picture of Kurt Cobain and your diary.
You've been snooping. You read my diaries, I'll tell you.
But we were in some diary.
Oh, that's different. We were kidding.
That's true, you were.
Where did you come from?
Where did you go? You just disappeared.
I was hereabouts. I just went for a stroll. The weather recently has been excellent for fungi. There are some wonderful specimens of Comphidius glaciosus in the moss just over there.
Gump what?
It doesn't matter. It's only me. But the point is, you probably walk past these things and you can see them, whereas I can't see them, but I look.
I told you the story of Peter Rabbit.
I know I heard.
You weren't here.
You couldn't see me, but I heard. You told it well.
Don't praise her. Her head's big enough as it is.
The story's not really got anything to do with around here, has it?
Well, no. I told you before that Beatrix Potter left her. Well, the year before she stayed here, she was in holiday in Perthshire. And as while she was there, she wrote a letter to the son of a woman who was a teacher. And it was in that letter she first drew and mentioned Peter Rabbit.
In a letter.
Well, yes, she never planned to write children's stories. It was only later, after someone suggested that she publish some of the stories she made up in the letters. That? Sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say,
more interesting if it all happened here.
Well, you should go for the Lake District. You can still see some of the places she took her pictures. No, but there is one thing. Mr. McGregor, he was paid to extend the garden of Leno. It's horrible, a bit lazy by all accounts.
She should have based Peter on Tom here.
Why me?
Don't you remember that time Mum got all those sweets for Christmas? You found them, ate the lot, and then threw up all over the table.
Oh yes.
You'll see a bit more happier than before.
Something to do for half an hour. Here, do you want your book back, Miss?
You can eat if you like. Do you want to?
Yes, please.
Well, for a bit longer. There's nothing better to do.
Give it here. Let's see if there's any more funny bits. Where are you staying?
Oh, I've come up here to see my brother. Does he live here then? He moved up here years ago. Not Cold Street, but near enough.
Hey, look at this. Discovery of bugs in back premises. An event which overshadowed all things else. Wonder if Aunt Minnie has bugs.
You must be joking. You dare. Hang on a minute. I was amused with two holiday millhands, one of whom would I live in the country, and thought costume a bonny place. I think it aye bonny every time I see it, but the other lass said, it were no to compare with Newcastle, where we hae a park with seats and theatres. Whereon the other lassie, very quietly said, she never went into it. Blessed are they that are contented. Well, no, it's one of those millhands I would make.
Hey, look at this. There was a funny old Negro man along one day last week. A genuine article. Solomon Simple, unwrapping a tambourine, singing a plain, quavering verse. Diddy-bum, tra-la-la, tra-la-la-la. And another tune, Old Caliban. It seems to me the Negroes are of two types. The buck, who's utterly repulsive, and old Uncle Remus, who's pleasant. That's terrible!
It should have called her time. This is over 100 years ago. Queen Victoria, an empire. Things were very different then.
So she's from so long ago. What's she got to do with today? Why should we read her?
Well, I suppose to get some idea of how things were that long ago. The ideas and attitudes of well-off people.
Well, what about the poor people?
Well, if you read on, she mentions the fisher folk on the coast, Melrose. She probably never really understood them, certainly not in a modern way, but she admired spirit and strength, even though she couldn't stand radical politics or rallies.
Just like
Dad.
I worked hard to get where I am today.
It's still just history, though. And that's boring!
Yes, but it's our stories to live on. They've lasted for generations. They're still as popular now as they ever were. For instance, you said Harry Potter to my Potter. Yeah, well that story was set in the Lake District. You can still recognise many of the places she drew, and that was years after she stayed there. But listen. There's the most absurd elderly lady, a little off her balance, accompanied by a stout country maid, Jane. She seemed an amiable old lady, but her prattled to herself, or whose path would crack the window occasionally. It was too gossipy to be of interest, except the description when she got her petticoats blown off in a New Year blizzard.
And
You know, I can just imagine Beatrix Potter storing little snippets of information in the recesses of mind. Like that old woman who's quite serious but slightly comic. And years later, when Beatrix Potter's writing a story about her, how she could be one almost forgotten image among many others that seem to fit so well with the character she's creating, and that you used to like so much.
I can't remember all that well.
I'll try, Carol.
I'm embarrassed.
There's no one listening.
Oh, she is. She's gone again. How does she do that?
She probably saw another one of those mushroom things.
Great song. Oh, Carol. Okay. Well, don't laugh. But let's see. This duck.
Wow,
luck, her sister-in-law.
I am perfectly happy to leave the hatchet to someone else. I have not the patience to sit in a nest for 28 days and no more of you. You'd let it go cold, you know you would.
Quack, quack.
Now, Jemima.
I wish to hatch my own eggs. I will hatch them, all by myself.
So Jemima tried to hide her eggs. She hid them all over the farm. In the rhubarb patch.
Wow.
In the barn. And down by the stream. But wherever she tried, her eggs were always found and carried off.
Quack. Quack.
Jemima became Jemima became very desperate. She determined to make a nest right away from the farm.
I will make a nest right away from the farm.
One fine spring afternoon, a paddle duck set off along the cart road that leads over the hill. She was wearing a shawl and a poke bonnet.
Well, you never know who you'll meet.
It was a long way to the top of the hill, but well worth the effort, for in the distance Jemima could see a wood.
I can see a wood in the distance. That looks like a nice safe spot. But it's a long way to water. It'd be much more sensible to fly there.
Now Jemima Paddle Duck was not much in the habit of flying. She ran downhill a few yards flapping her shawl, and then jumped up into the air. She flew beautifully once she had had a good start. She skimmed over the treetops until she got over a place in the middle of the wood, where the trees were mostly being cleared. She alighted, rather heavily, and began to waddle about in search of a convenient dry nesting place.
That's a good place. That tree stump looks into a foxglove. What?
She was startled to find an elegantly dressed man, with black pricked ears and sandy-coloured whiskers, seated upon the tree stump reading a newspaper.
What?
Madam, have you lost your way?
My, oh my, what a handsome civil chap. No, sir, I have not lost my way. In fact, I'm trying to find a convenient dry nesting place.
Ah, is that so?
The gentleman looked curiously at Jemima. He folded away his newspaper and put it in his tailcoat pocket. He had a large bushy tail that he had been sitting on, as the stump was somewhat damp.
Yes, sir. Quack, 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 quack.
And Jemima complained at superfluous.
Quack, 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 quack.
Indeed. How interesting. I wish I could meet with that fowl. I would teach it to mind its own business.
Quack.
And as for the nesting place, there is no difficulty. I've a sack full of feathers in my woodshed.
Quack.
Oh no, my dear madam. You would be in nobody's way. You may sit there as long as you like.
Quack.
If you'd care to follow me.
He led the way to a very retired, dismal-looking house among the foxgloves. It was built of faggots and stone, and there were two broken pails, one on top of another by way of a chimney.
This is my summer residence. You find my winter Present so convenient.
At the back of the house was a tumble-down shed made of old soapboxes. The gentleman opened the door and showed Jemima in. It was almost full of feathers.
Why, what a lot of feathers! Almost suffocating. It's very comfortable and very soft.
And she made a nest without any trouble at all. When she came out, the sandy-whiskered gentleman was sitting on a log reading a newspaper. At least he had it spread out, but was looking straight over the top of it.
Why, I'm afraid I must go home for the night now, kind sir.
Oh dear. Dear lady, must you go?
I'm afraid I must. I will be missed if I do not return.
It seems such a shame to leave so soon after making such a warm and comfortable nest. But if you must, you must.
Goodbye, kind sir. I will return tomorrow.
And rest assured I will take great care of your nest until you do return.
Goodbye.
And may I have the opportunity of saying how much I love eggs and ducklings, and how proud I will be to see a fine nest in my woodshed.
And after thanking him, Jemima Puddle Duck returned to the farm. The next afternoon, Jemima returned to her nest in the woodshed in the house in the wood. And in her nest, she laid an egg. In fact, she returned every afternoon and laid 9 eggs in the nest. 9. They were greeny white and very large. The gentleman admired them immensely.
What lovely, fair, subtle, impressive-looking eggs.
Tomorrow I will begin to sit. I'll bring about a cornflake, then never leave my nest until eggs are hatched. They might catch cold.
Jemima sounded very just.
Madam, I beg you not to trouble yourself with the bag. I will provide the oats. But before you begin your tedious sitting and trying to your coat, I suggest we have a dinner party. All to ourselves. May I ask you to bring some herbs from the garden at the farm? Some sage, some thyme, mint, and some parsley, and maybe 2 onions. And I will provide the lard for the stuffing. The lard for the omelette.
He was a very hospitable whiskered gentleman. And off she went, while a friend and benefactor turned the eggs in admiration. Now Jemima Puddle Duck was a simpleton. Not even the mention of sage and onions made her suspicious. She went round the farm garden, nibbling off snippets of all the different sorts of herbs that are used for stuffing roast duck.
Sage, thyme, mint, parsley, and what else did my gentleman say? Sage, thyme, mint, parsley, and sage, thyme, mint, parsley, and 2 onions.
And she waddled into the kitchen to get 2 onions out of a basket. The collie dog Ket met her as she was coming out.
What are you doing with those onions? And where do you go every afternoon by yourself, Jemima Puddle Duck? Put down those onions and answer me, Jemima.
Jemima was rather in awe of the collie, and she told him the whole story. collie listened with his wise head on one side and grinned when she described the polite gentleman with sandy whiskers.
Which wood exactly is it that you got to? Quack, quack, quack. And exactly whereabouts in this wood is this house and shed? Quack, 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 quack. Thank you, Jemima.
And while Jemima went off with the onions, he kept the collie trotted off. He trotted into the village, where he happened to meet two fox-hound puppies who were out for a walk with the butcher. Meanwhile, dressed in her shawl and poke bonnet, Jemima Puddleduck went up the cart road for the last time. It was a sunny afternoon, and she was rather burdened with bundles of herbs and 2 onions in a bag. She flew over the woods towards the house of the rich long-tailed gentleman. She was sniffing the air, glancing uneasily about the wood. Jemima alighted, and jumped.
Come into the house as soon as you've looked at your eggs. Give me the herbs for the omelettes.
He was quite abrupt, and Jemima was surprised.
Oh, be sharp!
Surprised and uncomfortable. When she was inside of the shed, there was a pattering of feet round the back. A black nose sniffed at the bottom of the door, and then locked it. Jemima became much alarmed. There was no sign of the foxy-whiskered gentleman. Unfortunately, before anyone could stop them, the puppies rushed into the shed. Too late. The puppies had gobbled them all up. And still crying for her, she was escorted home by Ken of the puppies. She laid some more eggs in June.
What?
And was permitted to keep them herself.
What?
But only 4 of them hatched.
What? 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 Well, it's my nerves, you know.
Maybe it was, but compared to the hens, Jemima Puddleduck always had been a bad sitter.
Jemima remains me laughing.
It's my nerves.
I thought the story was rather sad.
I think it was funny.
Well, you would.
Well, it is.
I suppose you wanted the fox to eat Jemima.
No, I like the fighting bit.
That reminds me too much of hunting. I don't particularly like the idea of foxes getting ripped to bits.
Yeah, but I suppose she knew what she was renting by being in the country that much. And it wasn't really a hot little Italian road.
I think Jemima's funny. She's so stupid.
Yeah, but for all the right reasons. And we've all done it. All done something stupid by mistake.
Where?
Like when you went up that tree to rescue that cat, ran down, but we had to get the fire brigade to rescue you. Well, at least I wasn't sitting in Granddad's car and see him walking up the
shopping, let a man break office to pick him up, run his car by the lamppost. Well, if you're going to bring that up,
I'll just cut it out, you two. How did I do? Did I tell the story well?
you should be on the telly. Very well.
Quite enjoyed remembering it.
It's a pity that woman was here. She'd have told you. You told it well. I hate you, woman. You must be yourself, then. Not as much as I hate you.
Stop it!
Look, there's a big here where she's all flustered because she thinks she's late for tea. Well, we better be getting back for ours too. You know what Auntie Minnie's like.
I don't see why I should have to sleep over a hot stove for hours, mate. People can't go through life and take treated.
For the book, the woman's not here to give it back.
Her fault.
She's a bit odd, isn't she? Coming and going like that, just chattering away.
Perhaps you should have talked to her. I mean, you know what Mum and Dad always say.
Never talk to strangers.
And let's face it, she is strange.
Look at this. It's the best entry yet. What? Saturday, the 7th of September. Very cold and windy. A cold drizzle came down as we were crossing the fields behind Glenelg. And it is cold, and it is windy, and it is starting to rain. I want to go home.
For the book. Tell you what, if the weather's okay tomorrow, do you want to come back here and see if you can find her? We can give the book then.
More Beatrix Potter?
Can you think of anything better to do?
No.
You?
No, I think it's a lovely idea.
That's settled then. Come on.
I hear the call of Auntie Minnie's going to be hard to do it. In the neatest of blue and pink combination knickerbockers, riding a bicycle, a very tippity twitchit. It is indeed the thin end of the wedge if children grow up to them. I hereby record the conviction that we are at the edge of the reign of knickerbockers, a very different matter to bloomer mania. The weak point of that fad and of the divided skirts was the endeavour to assert that they didn't show and ought to be worn universally and on all occasions. To wear knickerbockers with more or less overskirt, frankly as a sick costume, recycling or other more or less masculine amusement, is a different matter, and whether desirable or not has a different reason, and I should be most surprised if, within a very few years, a lady cannot appear in them without exciting hostile comment. The only specimen I noticed before leaving town, on a bicycle in the High Street, did not look so queer as might have been expected. On the other hand, I heard report of a stout middle-aged lady in green trousers with straps under her boots. Also, the pioneers of the movement parading in procession, smoking cigars. There is no custom that is not liable to abuse, but if females going for gymnastics, wherein I include the styles of this country, they should wear the costume. In my opinion, they make all the difference in the world in the comfort of scrambling, but are hot.
I suppose times must have changed.
Yeah, did you hear what Annie said to me last night when we were getting ready to go down the street? Jenny, you're not wearing those jeans. They're full of holes. There's bits of people popping out all over the place.
Boys will look.
It was so tempting to say that's the whole idea, but she wouldn't understand. In my day, but ankle was considered daring.
I wonder when she was young.
60s, I suppose.
The 60s! The age of the miniskirt! Can you imagine Auntie Minnie in one of them?
Minnie and a Minnie.
Oh, what a horrible thought!
You're getting a bit unkind.
Oh, lighten up!
Well, I thought she said some interesting things last night. All that stuff about Beatrix Potter. I sometimes think she is Beatrix Potter. Both must be about 150.
What would she say?
Here we go again. Well, she was saying that some people thought Beatrix Potter did actually like children. What were her thoughts?
It was quite strange, really. There's a difference between like and love, and young people sometimes can't recognise love.
She obviously did I feel like Keanu Reeves it's all very deep.
Did she say where she thought people thought Beatrix Potter didn't like children?
Well, it got a bit complicated. Some something to do with your own childhood, lost love, farming, and being old.
Yes, quite a list. I won't bore you with details because you can always find them out for yourself. But there are a few interesting points. Beatrix Potter was at home until she was quite old, and rather a stifling atmosphere. She never really had a childhood when she was a child. You see, she was always taught at home. When she started selling books, she fell in love with one of the publishers. But again, her parents disapproved. They got engaged, but he unfortunately died soon after. Then, when she finally did marry, she became a landowner and a farmer, much more than a children's author. But unfortunately, she never had any children of her own.
Sad? Don't be wet.
I don't know whether it's sad or not. You see, some people think because she didn't have a childhood, she didn't understand children. Certainly, she was impatient of their ways and times, but maybe there's a difference between understanding and loving. I mean, why would she put so much effort into writing stories to children and letters?
Maybe she had some sort of ideal of childhood, and the reality was never quite the same. It might be easier to write to children than deal with them. I mean, you should see her Auntie Minnie. I'm sure she loves us, but she hasn't got a clue.
Well, does she have children?
No.
Good job. Can you imagine that being your mother? But maybe if she did have children, she'd be different. She could never be different. She's a fossil.
Well, you see, she's got her own life that doesn't involve children. I sometimes wish children could understand adults a little more, but it shall never happen.
This is all getting a bit deep.
I quite agree. Where's your brother?
I have no idea. It's weird.
Doing something he shouldn't, probably.
I heard that.
Where have you been?
Nowhere.
Very good.
What have you been doing?
Nothing. What were you talking about?
Life.
Eh?
Children and adults, stuff like that.
Intellectual things way above the capabilities of your tiny brain.
Oh,
Where have you been?
well, I was busy. Did I miss anything interesting?
You must be joking. Well, we read a bit into the diary all about the clothes. She had some really strange ideas of what it was alright to wear. The right clothes for the right occasion.
That's strange.
What?
Nothing.
Come on, spill the beans.
Oh,
There's nothing. Let's be thankful.
Shake it.
Tickle it.
Stop it, okay.
well,
I'm doing about clothes.
Explain what were you reading?
Oh, okay.
Stop it. This. Found it at Auntie Minnie's. The Tale of Tom Kitten.
Oh.
I only picked up because of the name Tom.
And you just had to read it.
couldn't put it down.
What do you think? Well, it was okay. So there's these three kittens, and they get into all sorts of trouble.
Especially Tom.
Well, sort of. But it's strange you were speaking about clothes, because in a way, that's what the story's all about.
Once upon a time, there were three little kittens who lived with their mother.
I am Captain Twitch. These are my kittens. Mittens, Pocket, and Tom Kittens. Isn't it lovely to see their little fur coats tucked by the doorstep, hanging with us? Mittens, Pocket, Tom Kittens.
brush their fur. Then she pulled the tails and whiskers. The tongue was very naughty and he scratched and scratched. Mittens, muffins. You have clean little tuckers. All sorts of uncomfortable clothes out of the chest of drawers. That is what she did. When the three kittens were ready, Mrs. Tubbs pictured in a very unwise way.
My children, I have to make cutlets and tongues. I want you to go out to the garden to see you out of the way, out from under my paws. But you must keep your clothes clean, children. Walk on your hind legs. Keep it from the dirty ash pit, from the Sally Henny Penny, and the pigsty, and the puddle brooks.
Yes, Mama.
Right, off you go, and remember what I did.
Tom Kitten walked down the garden path unsteadily. They were not used to walking on their hind legs or to wearing clothes. Presently, Muppet and Mittens trod on their pinafores and fell on their noses.
Help me up, Mittens. You help me up. Help us up, Tom Kitten.
Now at first, Tom didn't hear her. He was far too busy trying to catch a fluttering butterfly, but because he was wearing such awkward clothes, the butterfly was always out of reach.
Tom Kitten, help us up.
When they stood up, there were several green smears on hers.
Look at your clothes. Mother will be at
No. Let us hang up on the rookery and sit on the garden wall. Let the leopard turn back to front.
And that is what they did. And with a skip and a jump up they went. Muppet's white tucker fell into the road.
Look, your tucker, my tucker. Bye-bye. Look at Mother Tom Kitten. He can't sit up.
And it was true. Walking on his hind legs and trousers, Tom Kitten was quite unable to jump. He could not be quite pleased. Breaking the ferns and shedding buttons. Right and left, one mistake he was in the rage to fall.
Tom Kitten, you're we'll be together.
And as they tried, Tom Kitten's hat fell off. And the rest of his buttons burst.
Pop, 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 pop.
stitches, there was a pit paddle putt, and 3 puddle ducks came along the hard high, marching one behind the other. As for the puddle ducks, they went into the pond. And all the clothes came off. And they have been looking for them ever since.
Quack, quack, quack. There's my time I gave.
But Tom's a real star, isn't he?
Fancy your mother lying like that.
Ours does.
No, she doesn't. Don't stop. She told that awful Mrs. Smith up the road that she couldn't go to her tea party because the two of us were laid up with the flu. And were we ill? I think not. We were all hauled off to some horse jumping thing that Mum wanted to see.
I remember that. I enjoyed it.
Yes. But Tom Kitten is a star, isn't he? Haven't you just wanted to do that? Just after you've had a bath, go out and get really, really dirty?
You never have a bath.
I do so. Go on. When did you last have a bath? Pardon? I didn't hear that.
Saturday.
Ooh.
That's 5 days.
You're stinking, you dirty midget.
So? Where's the old woman anyway?
Probably staying carefully up there with you. Funny tell her about Tom Kitten. I think she probably knows the story already.
She does seem to know an awful lot. She must have read that book from cover to cover.
Hope she didn't even sneak up on me again. That really gets on my nerves.
I reckon there's another reason why you don't want her here.
What?
Well, we've all admitted we quite like some of the stories. Peter Rabbit, Jemima Puffed Up, Tom Kitten.
So?
Well, there's only one person left.
That's right. What about you?
What about me?
Well, you must have a favourite.
No, that's all kid stuff. I'm not interested.
Not interested in kid stuff. All this from the person who, over a month ago, got really upset when the dog chewed up her Mickey Mouse slippers.
They had sentimental value.
I'm gonna get them how she's at a man.
So sharp, you'll cut yourself one day. You will see, you'll leave it. Do I have to?
Yes.
We'll look at his picture. It might give you a clue. He was a wily old professional fisher. He used to dawdle about all day catching nothing, but fishing up to his favourite coast of evening, saw the keeper endeavour to kill the meal, took a knife through his head and kick it, but evidently objected to put it in his bag. It dove into the water and swam away in high spirits. Any ideas?
Well, it's got to be the tale of Eric the Eel.
No.
The Tale of the Gormless Gamekeeper.
No.
It's obvious. Fisherman. It's got to be Jeremy Fisher.
Okay, smart pants. I've got this one. So sure of himself, so precise and prim and proper, while everything around him goes wrong. If he wasn't a frog, I'd give him a cuddle.
Well, compared to some of the lads you do cuddle, a frog would be just shut up.
She kisses him and hopes to turn to handsome faces.
They hope she'll turn into a human being and there's no hope there.
Well, if you're going to be like that, tell the tale.
Jeremy and Jenny, the odd couple.
There's a stickleback in the story called Jack Sharp, guessing you made me old.
That's enough, Jenny. You've made a choice, so let's
passage. That suits me just fine, don't you know? Because I love getting my little tootsies wet.
Never scolded him.
Absolutely not.
And he never was.
Call indeed the very idea.
One day, Jeremy, Mr. Jeremy, looked out of the window.
Oh, how lovely and pleasing. There are large drops of water splashing in the pond. The heavens are pouring forth. Precipitation is precipitating. In short, it is raining. I shall get some worms and go and catch some minnows for my dinner.
So worms were caught. And Mr. Jeremy prepared to go fishing.
If I catch more than 5 fish, I will invite my friends, Mr. Alderman Toby Tortoise and Sir Isaac Newton to dinner.
But the old one ate salad.
A mere trifle, dear boy.
Always want to cut a dash. Mr. Jeremy put on a mackintosh and a pair of shiny galoshes.
One has to look one's best.
His fishing rod.
My very good rod. My very good basket.
Settle.
With enormous hops.
Place my head
My very good boat. How lovely it looks. So very green.
and so very like all the other leaves.
And tied so beautifully to the water plants at the front.
Taking up a reading pole, Mr. Jeremy pushed the boat into the water.
Needless to say, I know an absolutely marvellous place for catching minnows. And here we are. Now I'll just make sure everything's ship-shape and Bristol fashion.
So Mr. Jeremy stuck his pole into the mud and fastened his boat to it. Then he settled himself cross-legged and arranged his fishing line.
I have the dearest little red float. My rod is a stossed grass, and my line is the finest of fine white horsehair.
Tied a little weeping worm onto the end of the line. Cast it off. He settled down towards.
This is such a perfect place for catching minnows. It won't take long.
An hour passed. And Mr. Jeremy stared at the float while the rain trickled down his back.
This is getting tiresome. I think I should like some lunch. I shall punt back to the shore.
And that is just what he did.
I shall eat a butterfly sandwich and wait until the shower is over.
While Mr. Jeremy was eating, a great big water beetle came up the lily. Tweaked towards one of his
Gosh, my galoshes!
So Mr. Jeremy crossed his legs up shorter, out of reach, and went over to his sandwich. Once or twice, something moved about with a rustle and splash amongst the rushes inside the pond.
Oh, dear me, I do hope that is not a water rat. I think I should like to get out of here.
So Mr. Jeremy shoved the boat out again. men just love it.
A minnow! I have him by the nose!
What a horrible surprise.
What a horrible surprise! That is a smooth fat minnow!
And it wasn't. Mr. Jeremy had landed.
Giant sharp, the stickleback, and all covered in spikes!
The stickleback landed by the boat.
Ow!
Snapped. Why and a shoal of other little fishes put their heads out and laughed at Mr. Jeremy Fisher.
They're extremely embarrassing. Very painful too.
He sat disconsolately on the edge of his boat, sucking his sore fingers and peering down into the water.
I am so disconsolate. That's the worst thing that could possibly have happened.
But then a much worse thing happened.
What could possibly be worse than that?
A great big trout came up and splashed into the claw.
Beg your pardon?
It is frightful! It's frightful!
The trout was so displeased to taste the macintosh in less than half a minute, spat him out again.
Manners!
The only thing that was swallowed was Mr. Jeremy's galoshes.
Gosh, my galoshes!
Mr. Jeremy bounced up to the surface of the water like a cork that pops out of a silver bottle. And he swam with all his might to the edge of the pond. He scrambled out to the first bank he came to.
Thank goodness that was not a pike.
And a rather flustered Mr. Jeremy Fisher walked home across the meadow with not so very large logs. Macintosh all in tatters.
I have lost my rod and my basket. My galoshes have been swallowed, and my macintosh is in tatters. But it does not much matter, for I'm sure I should never dare to go fishing again.
Mr. Jeremy put some sticking plasters on his sore fingers. And as it happened, his friends both did come for dinner.
We come to dinner!
I'm afraid I can't offer you any fish, but I do have something else in my larder.
And instead of a nice dish of minnows, we had roasted grasshopper with creamy ladybird sauce.
Absolutely lovely!
Especially after such an eventful day.
After such an eventful day, have you done the past days? Oh yes.
Not bad.
Okay.
Sort of.
I certainly have. It has been a pleasure to meet you.
Are you going yet?
I'm afraid so. I have to move on.
Well, do you want your book back now?
If you like.
Okay.
Yes, please. And here is a small parting gift. There is one for each of you. You must open it before it's gone. You promise? Yeah. So, how long have you got left? Seeing at your aunties.
8 days.
Any ideas what you might do?
Well, I want to speak to some of the places I've been reading about, just that I can visualise them. Snowhall Tower, Berwick, Kelso, London. There's an awful lot in the book about Baton.
I've got a few ideas. If all else fails, I can always go for a walk.
I have absolutely no idea. I might have a bath. But then again, I'll just probably get into loads of trouble and enjoy every minute of it.
Oh, yeah. I've got an idea.
And what's that?
Well, there was a line I read in the diary about a robin stealing butter from the larder. I'm going to try and turn it into a story, maybe paint some pictures. I've already got an idea of a cat tracking the robin in the larder, but I've no idea of why it's there in the first place or how it escapes.
Well, good luck.
Will you do us a favour before you go?
If I can.
Will you sign a book first? Just to make it kind of special. There we go. Nice.
I must be on my way. I'm always so sad to leave somewhere without seeing everything, but it's always so. Eat as much as you can into those days, and you'll remember them in years to come. Oh, and by the way, I'm sure Anthony really does love you.
Bye.
Well, I still say she's complete, Nutter. What's in the envelope?
I hope it's money.
It's a letter.
Dear Carol, I hear you keep down to the bed. Please feel free to take the application link and squeeze me. Quack. Your affectionate friend, Jemima Puddleduck.
What on earth?
I've got one too, from Peter Rabbit.
Dear Emma, I think your idea of Mr. McGregor's wall having escape holes every 12 yards is an excellent one. It would have made my life so much easier. Keep me in your thoughts and I will keep you in mind. Affectionately, Peter Rabbit.
Have you got one, Tom?
Yes, don't get it.
Yes,
Read it then.
oh, this is embarrassing.
Dear Tom, getting into mythology can be fun, as you and I both know. As long as you stay out of real trouble, stay good. Always.
That's the first time I've had a letter from that. It doesn't even exist.
Spooky.
I made him feel about 6 years old. Listen to this.
My dear Jenny, I am sorry to hear that you like handsome young princes. In my opinion, the world would be better served if we handsome frogs were given the true respect we deserve. I am gratified you finally expressed your affection for me. Allow me to return the call. Yours affectionately, Jeremy Fisher.
It's seriously wacky.
Straight up with this. I'm an adventure boy. Can you imagine everyone at school about this?
Don't even think about it.
What's she in the book? Yes. If I have done anything, even a little, to help children on the road to appreciate honest, simple pleasures, then I have done a bit of good. From a friend with love.
But what did she sign? We never even asked her name.
That's it. It's her signature.
Strange, wacky, typical.
I wonder who she was.
Hey, maybe she never even existed at all.
Don't be stupid.